Hey everybody, welcome back to another Hearthstone video, and this one is on the changes to the core set, and it also includes the new 10-year anniversary event cards. I decided to do these as their own little video, separate from the reveals for the new set. In part because I didn't want to record a 5-hour video, and I still don't want to record a 5-hour video, so I'm going to take some of these things with a pinch of salt. You may notice my camera's not here. There's just so much stuff that is chock-blocked into this video. I couldn't fit my beautiful mug on it. The first thing and foremost, we are transitioning into the year of the Pegasus. We're on a new set cycle. And this is going to mean that 3 sets are going to rotate out. The core set changes as well. And also because it's the 10-year anniversary, there's some event cards that have been added. First, I'm going to deal with the event cards. So if you're loading your game right now, you get this free card. So not only do you get the ones from the Whizbang set, the 2 cards from that, well, sorry, 2. The 1 card and the 1 pre-order bonus card, the pay-to-win card. But you get Hearthstone Brew. He's a 6-mana 5/5 battlecry. Replace your hand with an iconic one from Hearthstone's past once per game. Alright, there's just a lot to unpack, and it bloody is a lot to unpack when you try and describe this card. So what the hell does this thing do? When you play this card, your hand will be removed. It will exit the game. And your hand will be replaced by 8 cards from a unique class. That's not necessarily your class. And they will have the same, 8 cards associated with it. The only exception to this is Death Knight, who have 3 different unique hands. 1 for Blood, 1 for Frost, 1 for Unholy. Obviously, to assign how good this card is going to be, you have to see what these hands are, and there are 13 different hands you can get. Which basically means this card is a bit of a meme, in my opinion, because you can't really build around it. At the end of the day, if you're playing Hearthstone Brew in your deck, legitimately, not just for memes, you're doing it because you want value. So that's kind of how I would rate this card is the value deck good, and then the hand is better if it gives you more value. So first and foremost, and by the way, I stole most of this as Hearthstone top deck, so thanks for them. If any of this is wrong, get the torch and pitchforks out at them, not me. This is the 8-hand combo for Blood Death Knight. You get Mograine, you get No Muncher, you get Soul Stealer, Blood Boil, Vampiric Blood, Obliterate, Asphyxiate, and Patchwork. That's actually a very solid hand. If you're a control deck, you're going to love this. Alexandros gives you an inevitability on the win condition, right? No Muncher, big amount of health, Asphyxiate, very nice removal. Patchwork for interruption. Soul Stealer for a board clear. I think this is a really solid hand to pick up almost as any class. And typically when you're playing this a value deck, you're probably mid-rangey to, late game control-like. So I think this is the type of hand that is probably right up your alley, right? We have from the Frost side of things, Glacial Advance, Lady Death Whisperer, School Teacher, Frostworm's Fury, Horn of Winter, Thessarian Froststrike, and Howling Blast. I think this is a bit of a weaker hand. It's a little bit too niche, right? So I think this is a bit of a lower roll. Then from Unholy, we have Amalgam of the Deep, Grave Strength, Nerubian Swarmguard, Hawkstrider Rancher, Battlefield Necromancer, Plague Strike, Brightfang, and Skeletal Sidekick. Again, you'll probably want to play an aggro deck with this, like a tempo-y deck. If you're playing a value deck, you probably don't need these cards. Sure, you can play a few of them out together, like you could throw out the Nerubian Swarmguard with the Grave Strength to give you big board, but obviously can't attack instantaneously, so again, I think this is a bit of a lower roll in the hands. Demon Hunter, you get Twin Slice, you get Ultraris the Outcast, Imprisoned Antiane, I-Beam, Skull of Gul'dan, Priestess of Fury, Metamorphosis, and Wargraves of Azzinoth. This could be a pretty good get. Again, it's a more control-y, value-orientated hand. If you just need, like 4 damage and you get Metamorphosis, thumbs up. I say thumbs up. You would need 1 additional mana, right, to actually do it, but because this is the other thing, you have to play Hearthstone Brew for 6, so you only have 4 mana left over for the turn. So anything that is below 4 mana, which is a good card, yeah, that's going to be fantastic. I also know how this hand orders. I believe this is the correct order of the hand as well. Like, I think I-Beam gets stuck in the middle, it doesn't get outcast, so it's okay, but it's a pretty slow turn, right, playing Hearthstone Brew. Druid gets a really fucking interesting one. And by the way, a lot of these cards are They're iconic from the past, but they've been nerfed since, and they are in the nerf state. So they get Trigger the World Tree, Naturalized, King Togwaggle, Malfurion the Pestilent, Spreading Plague, Azalina Soul Thief, Lesser Jasper Spellstone, and Branching Pass. So I believe I didn't play this a lot, and I think this was a problem in Wild as well for a long time. The gimmick of like this deck and why it was iconic was that you would play like all your deck, you would Togwaggle to swap decks with your opponent, and then you would Azalina to steal the card, and Trigger the World Tree would give you 10 mana to enable this combo. And basically you would give your opponent no deck, and you would have their deck and you would win. Unfortunately, the cards don't work the same way as they do anymore, so... I think this is just too slow again. You're spending 6 mana on the turn that you get this hand, and what can you play on the turn of this? World Tree, Trigger of World Tree? Nice, you've spent 10 mana and summoned a 5/5. There's obviously some pretty decent things in here. Spreading Plague is decent. Malfurion the Pestilent as well, getting a hero card. Decent, but he's definitely not the best of the hero cards. I guess that one of the solid things from this, again, if you're this controlling value deck, you're grabbing Naturalize, which at the very least is destroy a minion. It might keep you alive, even though the downside of it is pretty monstrous, right? Giving your opponent 2 card draw. It may keep you alive, though. Hunter, I think, has got an insane hand. So they get Lesser Emerald Spellstone, Wandering Monster, Misdirection, Explosive Trap, Cat Trick, Deathstalker Rexar, Cloaked Huntress, and Freezing Trap. Immediately, you get a huge secret package, and a secret package lover in the Lesser Emerald Spellstone. Cloaked Huntress allows you to play your secrets for 0, so you can become like a fucking Christmas tree immediately. And once you've done all of this, you become Deathstalker Rexar and gives you infinite value, and you're a value deck anyway, so you would love... I personally, of all the hands, this is like one of the numero uno ones I would go for. It's like top 2, top 3 of the iconic hands that I would want. And honestly, Deathstalker Rexar, what a fun card. What a fun card. Anyway, keep moving on. Paladin gets the Libram package, Lady Liadrin, Aldor Truthseeker, Libram of Hope, Penflinger, it's nerf Penflinger by the way, so it only goes to minions. Libram of Judgment, Libram of Justice, Libram of Wisdom, Aldor Attendant. Really bad. You probably don't want this one because the Librams, they get good the more like the attendant stuff you play, which reduce the cost of the Librams. I.e., you wanted duplicates of all of these cards, and sadly, this hand doesn't include duplicates. Also, Penflinger is in the nerf state, so it's no longer as oppressive as before. I think it's just a pretty weak hand, full stop. And again, what are you doing on the 4 mana turn? Penflinger, Libram of Wisdom, maybe your Stonebrew. Get the Penflinger back, Penflinger something else. Wow, what a great turn. Priest, other class with insane hand. So they get the Galakron package, Galakron the Unspeakable, Soul Miller, Kronk's Dragonhoof, Time Rip, Fate Weaver, Disciple of Galakron, Shield of Galakron, and Devoted Maniac. Again, you might be saying, what do you do on the turn, you know, when Hearthstone Brew comes in? Well, you can throw out Disciple of Galakron, invoke Galakron, and destroy a random enemy minion. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Eventually, you'll become Galakron, and the Galakron's Priest version gives you 2 mana to discover a Priest minion, right? Or you get a random Priest minion, so you don't get to discover it. Again, it's infinite value. There was a deck in the past when Galakron was a thing, or... yeah, well, Galakron was a thing, where you would just generate infinite value with the Galakron package. And I still think you can do that now, so if you get this hand, I think you are smiling. Shaman gets some really interesting stuff. So Shaman's hand will really depend on what the rest of your deck was before you got it. They're getting Healing Rain, Saronite, Chain Gang, Zola the Gorgon, Life Drinker, Grumble, World Shaker, Glacial Shard, Shudderwock, and Volcano. So obviously the big winner here is Shudderwock. It can do insane things. Obviously Shudderwock was designed for Shaman. If you get Shudderwock and you're playing Rogue, all hell's gonna break loose, right? So I think there's gonna be some really crazy plays when you Hearthstone Brew your value deck. Let's say you're playing Warrior, because they can probably accommodate this more. And you generate a Shudderwock, and you just start, I don't know. You duplicate the Shudderwock effect, because you're also playing Bran in it as well. Just, the game's going to explode, right? In general, this is a pretty weak hand. At the very least, though, you can play the Saronite Chain Gang instantaneously to give you a wall in front of you. And maybe Life Shrinking just gives you enough little sustenance to keep going, right? Rogue's got probably the worst one, is so oddly specific. They get Gang Up, Preparation, Youthful Brewmaster, Brand Bronzebeard, Cold Light Oracle, Antique Healbot, Shadow Step, and Vanish. So obviously the intention here is to do the Gang Up, Cold Light Oracle mill deck. Is it good for a random deck to hope that you get the 1 in 13 chance to be a mill deck and play the rest of your deck around being a mill deck? No, so it probably won't work. And then you're looking at, like, what do you do with the 4 mana? You could prep Vanish, I suppose. Shrug. I think it's pretty weak. It's something you can't really prepare for, but it's a hand. Back to hands that are really good. I think this Warrior one is really good, but for a different reason. They get a Grim Patron package. Whirlwind, Deathbite, Inner Rage, Warsong Commander, Emperor Thorisan, Grim Patron, Frothing Berserker, and Execute. So they don't get an immediate great payoff. I guess it's Deathbite. You can play that when you're at, 10 mana, you play half, you play Deathbite, you swing once, you kill a minion. That's the dream. Or maybe you execute something if you're able to. Where this really does come obnoxious, let's put it that way, is if you can wait for one more turn, you can play Warsong Commander, play Grim Patron to give it charge, you can then Inner Rage it to copy it, and then Whirlwind it to copy it twice. And I believe they all get charged. Again, I'm not very familiar on this combo. You can tell me I'm wrong, but this does say on summon, not played, and this is summoning minions. So I assume that is 12 charge damage to the face. That is frightening, and you're probably going to have the weapon swing as well, which might give you another 1 damage to all minions, they get charged. At that point, though, I think you kill the Warsong Commander, so maybe it doesn't work any further than that. But, hell, 16 direct damage if they don't deal with it? Yikes. Yikes, yikes, yikes. In Warlock Land, another pretty decent hand, I think. You get Skull of Manari, Carnivorous Cube, Blood Reaver, Gul'dan, the Faceless Manipulator, Doomguard, big, Voidlord, Defile, and Dark Pact. So this is back to Q-Block. This is the nod to it. Skull of Manari is obviously not going to be that effective beyond the demons you have in your hand. The name of the game will be playing your demons as quickly as possible to get Blood Reaver, Gul'dan to resummon them all back. And then Doomguard obviously has charge. So if you only need 5 damage, Doomguard is fantastic. Unfortunately, Doomguard may accidentally, discard one of your key pieces. Like, it might discard the Blood Reaver Gul'dan, and then you just feel really sad. Also, what do you do with the 4 mana? You have Defile. Probably not going to be good enough as a response. So you're taking a really low tempo turn if you get the Warlock hand. And that is all the hands. So Hearthstone Brew, I think, is going to be a meme card. I don't think it's really going to be that strong. The only way he will be strong is simply if a deck rises to the top that is a control deck that needs like this unbelievable value, potentially able to go to infinite value, and they can just slot that card into the deck. So I think it's going to be Priest or Warrior where that might find home. Maybe Blood Death Knight tries to make something of it. The other cards that you've been added to the game, man, so many cards were added to the game before the sets came out. The bunch of gift cards have been added to the game, and all of them have the same gimmick that you discover a temporary copy of an iconic card. So Death Knight has Arthas's gift. You get Dark Transformation, Howling Blast, or Death Strike. Reminder, it's a temporary copy. You have to use it then and there. You can't hold it in your hand. So the way I'm looking on these gifts is, I'm kind of seeing them as spell ETCs, right? ETC, you pay a surcharge to add these, like, utility cards into your deck, and you pick the card that you need versus the deck you're playing against. Whereas the other cards might be like niche for another situation, but you don't need them in that matchup. So if the discovered cards all do very similar things, then typically I think the gift is pretty bad. And I think the Death Knight one might actually be the worst one, but you might disagree with me. So you spend 1 extra mana to do this, so it's kind of like adding 1 mana cost to all these cards. And all of them pretty much do similar things. Dark Transformation turns a undead, very specific, but it's Death Knight, so you can generate undead by pushing the button, into a 4/5 undead with Rush. That's basically single target removal, but maybe leaves your body on the board. Howling Blast, 3 damage to an enemy. You might go face with that, and Freeze it, deal 1 damage to all other enemies. But again, I'm seeing this more as a single target removal. And then Death Strike is also single target removal, so I think all in all, this is just all occupying too similar a niche. Illidan's Gift, you get temporary copies of Fell Barrage, Chaos Strike, or Chaos Nova. Here's the cards. Again, they do relatively similar things. At least Fel Barrage and Chaos Strike does. You're really looking for these to be face damage. Chaos Nova does lean more towards the control side of things, so I think this is slightly better than Arthas's Gift. But still pretty weak. Chaos Nova didn't see much play when it was a thing anyway. Fel Barrage did, but again, it was in a very niche archetype. Are you going to be building this niche archetype? Who knows? And again, one other thing about this is the gifts will obviously be better if you're rewarded for playing multiple spells per turn, and sometimes that is the case for Demon Hunter, so Illidan's Gift might be better than we think it is. Malfurion's Gift gives you a temporary Feral Rage, Wild Growth, and Swipe. Now, there's a critically important thing, and we're going to get to this later on when we talk about the core rotation. Wild Growth is rotating out for Druid. There's a spoiler ahead. So this is your only way to put Wild Growth in your deck now. And it's basically saying you're paying 4 mana for a Wild Growth. It's kind of like a stealth nerf to the card, right? And I think that is just too much. It's too slow, right? Swipe is also being added to the core set, so it would have been nice. Sometimes it is AoE removal, and Druid has been sorely lacking it in the last set. But they can just put it in their deck now. And then Feral Rage, also pretty solid. You get 4 attack or gain 8 armor. I think these are all pretty low, pretty weak. The 1 mana Surcharge is a bit too much. However, Druid is one of the classes that can cheat mana, so if they can cheat Malfurion's Gift to 0, then obviously these are all solid cards, and maybe Malfurion's Gift will slot into a deck. At least it'd give you something to do. I was going to say, give you something to do in the early game, but it's temporary. You have to play the other card as well, so I don't know. We'll see. Rexar's Gift. You get Quick Shot, Deadly Shot, or Explosive Shot. Again, temporary versions. I quite like the Hunter one. It's pretty flexible. You either go for like 3 damage, maybe with a small chance of refilling your hand by an additional card. Deadly Shot, hopefully hit big minion. And Explosive Shot, which is AoE. They kind of cover 3 different niches, so I think Rexar's Gift has a world where it is played, but again, it's going to really depend hard on whether or not a class is rewarded for playing spells. Otherwise, you're just paying 1 more mana for Explosive Shot, Deadly Shot, and Quick Shot. And do I think any of these are worth playing at that additional 1 mana cost? No. Jaina's Gift. You get Frostbolt, Arcane Intellect, or Fireball. Again, they do pretty different things. Frostbolt and Fireball kind of cover the same niche. But I think the 1 mana Surcharge on all these is just too expensive. These cards are just not good enough to begin with. Add 1 mana to it. No deal. Again, Mage rewarded for playing different spells, so can be rewarded at least. So maybe. Finally, another one I'm actually pretty intrigued by, Uther's Gift. You get Equality, Consecration, or Blessing of Kings. So one of the really frustrating things about Equality Consecration is it's like the classic double combo for a board clear. It was making sure you had both Equality and Consecration in your hand. If you can put Equality, Consecration, and Uther's Gift in your deck together, it just increases your chance of having this combo wombo together. And Consecration Equality was actually played when Consecration was at 4 mana as well. Not particularly well. It suffered a little bit, but it's not out of the realms of, you know, chaos. Let's put it that way. Sorry, I'm just losing my voice now. So I think Uther's Gift could legitimately see some play in some sort of control paladin deck. And then if you don't need the control options, Blessing of Kings, if you're paying 5 mana for +4/+4, obviously not a great deal, but if there is the difference between you winning and losing the game, i.e. the extra 4 attack, you know, that's pretty good. And they also have Wind Fury options right now, so that could easily be +8/+8 instead, so watch that space. Anduin, you get Power Word Shield, Shadow Word Pain, or Mind Control. Note, by the way, Mind Control has been buffed to be 9 mana so that you didn't generate a temporary copy of a 10 mana card, i.e. you couldn't play it unless you got 11 mana. I think, again, this has a world where it can see play in a control priest deck. Power Word Shield is probably going to be more like a draw option than anything, but Pain to remove a 3 or less attack minion is okay. And again, 10 mana Mind Control, not outside the realms of possibility for a control deck. I don't think it's the best option. I would be surprised if it does make the cut. But if you're still trying to make Highlander Priest decks work, maybe Anduin's Gift slots into it. Valera's Gift is actually just dookie. She has pooped in a bag and then, you know, rung your doorbell and left it on the doorstep and then set it on fire. She gets Backstab, Deadly Poison, and Fan of Knives. None of these are good cards. None of these see play currently. They are in the core set right now, so you can put them in your deck regardless. The only thing I will say about this card, and where it may end up saying play just because of it is a spell. If Miracle Rogue is a thing again for the next month, Valera's Gift into Backstab gives you 2 playable cards, right? That's about it. That's all they've got for it, but I think it's such a weak card. Like a 1-mana Backstab, the only other way this will see play is if Rogue ends up with a weapon synergy again and you want lots of copies of Deadly Poison, then you'll use Valera's Gift to get more Deadly Poison so that your weapon gets more damage. They're the only situations I can see right now. Thrall's Gift, you get Lightning Bolt, Hex, or Bloodlust. Again, spoilers for the future, Bloodlust is rotating out, so if you want to play a Token Shaman deck, Bloodlust was normally your go-to card, for example, Totem Shaman. You can't put that in the deck anymore, so you have to pay the 1-mana additional cost with Thrall's Gift to play Bloodlust at 6. These things all do pretty different things. Hex is like a single target removal, so to speak. It turns something into a 0-1 with Taunt. And Lightning Bolt is decent phase damage. I'm not sure about Thrall's Gift. I think it is, again, in this mid-tier. Sure, the cards all do different things, but they're kind of oddly specific. And a lot of them require you to set up a board state to, you know, to make them as good as possible. Like Lightning Bolt, you kind of want spell damage with it. Bloodlust, you want a board of minions with it. That type of deal. However, again, Thrall's Gift might see play in some sort of spell damage Shaman deck to give you another copy of Lightning Bolt, so again, just go to the face. Not crazy. Gul'dan's Gift. I really like this one. This might be my favourite of the gifts. This gives you Mortal Coil, Siphon Soul, or Twisting Nether. This will slot into a lot of Control Warlock decks. Sometimes you need big single target removal, give me a Siphon Soul. Sometimes you want AoE removal, give me a Twisting Nether. Sometimes you want to draw a card and there just happens to be a 1-health minion, you'll go like, you know what, Gul'dan, give me a gift of Mortal Coil, I will take it. And typically you're a pretty slow deck, right? You don't need to spend all your mana at once. You can just use a card to deal with their card, use a card to deal with their card. That's kind of the gimmick of the control decks, right? So I think Gul'dan's Gift may legitimately see play in Control Warlock. I don't know if it is right now. It's been out for a day now, the patch. But I've not played Hearthstone, so... I've also barely slept, so sorry if I'm, like, just falling over my words. Finally, we get to Warrior. Garrosh's Gift is get a Execute, Shield Block, or Brawl. Again, I think this actually is going to be a card that would see play in Odin Warrior specifically, only because it's worth 3 mana for a Shield Block in Odin Warrior. Because that is not just gain 5 armor, it's gain 5 attack and draw a card, right? And sometimes you might want the additional Brawl just as a control option. I probably don't think you're going to get Execute that often, but again, 2 mana Execute to kill like a giant guy. I can see it, I can see it. So basically I think the gifts for the control decks are pretty solid, and then a lot of the other ones are kind of middling. Now we get it to the set rotation. So we're done with the 10th year anniversary event. I'm sure more stuff will come out as time goes on. What does it mean going to the year of the Pegasus? March of the Lich King, Murder at Castle Nathria, and Voyage to the Sunken City, they're all rotating out. I think this was a really good year for Hearthstone. I think all 3 of these sets were really good. I enjoyed the Colossal Minions, I enjoyed the Infusion mechanic, and I think Death Knight was generally a good addition to the game. A lot of people complain about the rune mechanics. I get their point on it, but I found it pretty fun trying to make these, you know, offshoot decks. I kind of wish it was less Triple Frost, Triple Unholy, Triple Blood, and you got that mix and match that I think they were trying to aim for. They never quite found that balance. Mainly because the Triple Rune cards were fucking insane. But yeah, I think this was a really solid year of Hearthstone. Okay, apologies that this diagram is kind of tiny at the moment, but I don't want to go through every single one of these. Death Knight's rotation is obviously really weird. So on the left, the cards that are leaving the core set, and on the right, there's cards coming into the core set. Now, obviously, Death Knight hasn't been in the game long enough to really have this huge core set to pull from, so a lot of the cards aren't leaving the game, they're just merely moving into the core set to keep the Death Knight numbers up on cards, compared to the other classes at least. The big noticeable things, though, from this, Patchwork is rotating out, and so is Marogar, the big Unholy Rune payoff. Unholy can still win, obviously, without Marogar, but it does remove that threat. You always have to keep a card to deal with Marogar, like a definite board clear. Now you can use that instead of minions instead, so I think that's going to be a big nerf to Unholy. Patchwork was very good for breaking combo decks. It was something that was often discovered as well by the Blood Rune discoverers, and yeah, it's gone now, so you're not going to have to play with this oppressive Patchwork, you know, potentially lingering in people's hands. They're not going to discover 2 or 3 copies of it and just destroy your deck. That's gone now. On the side of things coming back into the core set, Frostborn Fury is staying in, so maybe there is going to be some sort of spell, damage, frost, Death Knight deck coming around. The other 2 things I want to just note on here, and this I assume is going to be buffs to these cards that aren't mentioned yet. When I did the other video, and I literally recorded this before I started making this one, I mentioned that Blood type was 2 Blood Runes, and it'd be nice if it was 1 Blood Rune, right? So you could use 2 Unholy. On the graphic of this going into the core set, it shows it as 1 and not 2 Blood Runes, and similarly, Soul Stealer is 3 Blood Runes currently, but it's showing as 2. And it's a pretty big change for Soul Stealer, because you can't discover 3 rune cards, but you can discover 2 rune cards. So going from 3 to 2 is monumental, because you can now discover this with like stuff like Hematurge, which is staying in the set. You might discover a Soul Stealer, so that is a pretty big boon to Blood Death Knight, but I still think overall losing Patchwork is pretty bleak. Alright, now to the other classes. Demon Hunter. I think the cards they lose here aren't that important. It made me laugh that Wrathscale, Naga, and Feast of Souls rotate out as expendable performers move in. It makes sense, because Wrathscale and Naga might legitimately kill people with expendable performers. The big note, I think, from this, though, is Wayward Sage is coming straight back into the core set again. And I think this has been a pretty good card. I like the Wayward Sage. And also Umberwing coming back in. So Umberwing was a pretty big deal when you were playing these Zoo tempo-y Demon Hunter decks. It rotated out, now it's rotating back in. And I expect to see again some more Zoo-y, aggressive Demon Hunters. That seems to be the direction they're pushing it in. And also with his expendable performance, it kind of suggests maybe they're still going to go with some token synergies. We'll see. Druid is probably the biggest of all of these changes. The note here, look at all these cards. So when I look at cards that are like rotating out or rotating in, on the ones that are rotating out, I'm looking at cards that, you know, are played in meta decks or have been played in meta decks, and vice versa. If it's coming in, were you played in a meta deck or were you not played in a meta deck? Every card on Druid's side, with maybe the exception of Kiri, which saw very little play, has been played in a meta deck in Druid in the last year or 2. And some of them are still being played now, like Wild Growth, Nourish, Soul of the Forest, Lunar Eclipse, Solar Eclipse. Pounce less so, but there was still the button Druid deck, right? These are huge removals, especially Nourish and Wild Growth, which really hurts Ramp Druid. And that is one of Druid's core identities. That they can't particularly do well in the early game. They don't have big removal either. But they will get to the end game faster, and then they will just try and beat you with end game cards. Then one of the other things about Druid is they have a token, like, archetype, and Soul of the Forest really enabled that token archetype. But honestly, fuck you, token Druid. I don't like you, so I'm happy Soul of the Forest is going. Yeah, this is a huge core set change for Druid. Now, there are still some mana ramping cards in there. You still have the little dragon friend. You still have the new card that came with the mini set, right, that gives you 3 mana crystals. So I think that might be part of the logic behind it. They want these cards to shine. And we've seen enough of Wild Growth and Nourish at this point. But this is going to certainly hurt Druid a lot. And I think compared to all the other classes that are rotating, I think Druid gets fucked the most by it. On the plus side, though, Swipe is coming back in. Druid was really lacking any form of AoE removal. And the neutral package right now doesn't really have a great option for AoE board removal. Swipe can at least fill that niche. Also, it can go to the face, so you can actually go for potentially spell damage Druid decks. Maybe that is a hint that we're going in that direction. Other notable things, Greybow is coming into the set. A lot of the Death Rattle packages I think are rotating out, unfortunately, but anytime Greybow is in the set, someone will find a way of copying the Death Rattle multiple times into multiple minions, and just generating this giant wall of Grey Boughs, right? And also don't forget about Park Panther, because this card's really efficient. It's 4 mana 4/4. Rush, if you attack, you get 3 attack this turn. Remember, Button Druid is still a thing. It is pushed pretty low down on the list, but it's going to, I guess, rise back up now that the other archetypes been heavily nerfed. And gaining an additional 3 attack from an attack of a minion that might clear another minion off, that's really efficient. Very good card. Hunter, obviously, there's 2 big cards here going out. King Crush is probably like the most iconic Hunter card there is in the game. It is rotating out. I think this is a good thing. The new cards they've added for the new set have caused the game to get slightly broken because people are copying King Crush on your board and getting 4 King Crushes and ruining people's days. I think it was time to put Crush back in the box. And honestly, I think they have been trying to do this with Charge, like trying to draw the power level down and not print so many Charge cards. I just think they should stop printing Charge cards at this point. They're so hard to balance, and on a Legendary, I think you can accept it, but I'm happy to see Crush go for a little bit of time. Selective Breeder is also going, and this has seen a lot of play in almost every single Hunter deck, so I'm pretty happy this is moving out. It'll allow the team as well to print better Beast cards, because you couldn't really print a God tier Beast right now, because Selective Breeder would just give you multiple copies of it, and you would have a big sad day playing against it. The other notable thing on the cards coming in, so cards coming out, you're losing some of the secrets. Coming in, Lesser Emerald Spellstone is coming back in, which rewards having a secret package. This is probably a nod to there being Secret Hunter being supported again. Ice Trap is also coming back in again, and this is one of Hunter's better secrets. Very good at disrupting spells, right? Other notable things, Kill Command is back, which suggests there is going to be some sort of Beast synergy, similar with Master's Call. Probably there's going to be Beast Hunter, there's probably going to be Secret Hunter, I know. Kelsa Parise. Mage is really, like, I think this is one of the weaker ones, as in, like, it's just a bit boring. Agewen is probably the biggest notable thing that's going out. It enabled a lot of these ping decks where Agewen would die and you would, what was it called? Frost Touch. You'd Frost Touch someone in the face for 5 damage, you'd get the infusion, it'd come back to your hand, you'd play it again, that type of deal. Obviously, Frost Touch is rotating out, because that is Nathria. But something else would have filled the void, right? So I'm not surprised it's rotating out, but that's a pretty big card to lose. A lot of people said Pyroblast as well, but who's playing Pyroblast at this point? And then on the cards that are coming in, I think all of them are pretty weak. Caligos is obviously a good minion, but do I think he's better than Agewen? I'm not actually sure about that. I'm not sure about that. It depends on how good the big spell package is going to be for Mage, and spoilers right now, it's not very good. I also want to add to this that as I was like going through these core packages, I was like, oh, a lot of people are getting the Spellstones back. They've printed a new one for Death Knight. Surely Mage is going to get their Spellstone because it's an elemental synergizing Spellstone, and that would be a pretty big bump for Elemental Mage. Nope, didn't get it. It's like, why? Why not? Why not? It just seems to have made sense. Like, it's the perfect time to bring this card back into the game when Elemental Mage is a thing. Not a great thing, but it's a thing nonetheless. But nope, they didn't do it, so I just put question mark on that. I guess the other side of things of Mage, Flamestrike is a pretty, classic card from Mage. It's going to improve the quality of Control Mage decks. They struggle to do big removal. Now they struggle a little bit less. However, they struggle a little bit at small removal now with Fire Sale rotating out. Paladin is also pretty weak in my opinion. I don't think there's a lot of stuff that's being removed that matters that much. I guess Blessing of Kings is one of the bigger ones just because you could Wind Fury it to get more bang for your buck. On the flip side though, Lady Liadrin is coming back in. So that suggests that they are supporting this single target buff Paladin archetype. And Spike Ridge Steed is also coming in with it. And Silvering Portal's coming in with it. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes with Paladin. Just as a note though, Garden's Grace is rotating out, so you don't have to worry about Garden's Grace plus Lady Liadrin. As I did immediately, I was like, holy shit, Paladin is going to be... you just can't leave a minion on board, right? They will just kill you if you leave a minion on board. And it kind of is like that now, but it was going to be more so. You would have to always trade. Otherwise, you would just lose on the spot. Fortunately, they are losing some of their minion buff cards. It does also have a little bit of a knock-on effect to Silverhand Recruit losing the Thraxian, but he didn't even really make that archetype that often, so pretty minor. Alright, next class. I'm in cold sweats. I'm suffering from anxiety. I'm scared about the cards that are rotating into Priest. The notable things that are rotating out, though, we're losing Shadow Form, so Shadow Priest dead. All the big ones, Shadow Naru's rotating out, and I've noticed for some time there is not a lot of silence options in the game. Especially AoE silence. We're about to lose Starfish as well, and they don't seem to be replacing it, so we'll see with the new set what comes in, but I think they're trying to reduce the amount of silence in the game. You might see that as a good thing, you might see it as a bad thing. Personally, I think silence is like a necessary evil, because of the evils of these two cards. I would love to be able to silence the Obsidian statue. I'd love to be able to silence Lesser Diamond Spellstone, or the things that come from it, sorry. You can't now. Well, you can't as effectively at the very least. My least fun experience in Hearthstone, the least fun deck I've ever played against was Resurrect Priest. And I think this was a general consensus among the community that they hated Resurrect Priest, especially with the Obsidian statue and the Lesser Diamond Spellstone. It was so unbelievably unfun. If you wanted to play a minion-based deck, you were just fucked. You would just lose on Q. And I'm pretty certain at the time, like when this rotated out, or like around that time, I'm sure the Hearthstone team said like, okay, we're going to remove this class identity from Priest like out of the game. They're not going to have this Resurrect giant undying things. No, they're bringing it back. So I'm crying. I'm just crying. I think this is going to be really... I mean, it depends on what the full set is. If it's just Obsidian Statue and Lesser Spellstone, fine. I think we can deal with it. If they start doing stuff, though, where the Death Rattle can get spread to other things and they give things Reborn, we're going to end up in a state where Priest just makes the game unfun to play against again. I know it's the 10-year anniversary, but please don't for 10-year anniversary make Priest unfun to play against again. Please. Another notable thing here, by the way, after I mauled, wasn't Chip's Chirurgeon from the... what was it called now? The Caverns of Time, or whatever it was? And that has gone into Standard now, so that's kind of interesting. It's also a pretty big buff for Overheal Priest. Like, playing that on 1 and then all your minions being played after that getting 1 health. I think it suggests that there's going to be some sort of tokeny Priest deck, maybe, or Zoo Priest deck. We'll see. Other Priest cards, you know, pretty decent. Rogue. They've lost, like, most of their secret package, which either means one or two things. A bunch of secrets going to be added to the game, or they don't want to support Secret Rogue anymore. I think it's going to be the latter, so there are going to still be some secrets in the game, but a lot of the synergies are... Actually, are there going to be any secrets in the game? Maybe some of the other secrets have rotated out. Maybe the entire secret package is gone. You know what? I didn't check that, so apologies. But anyways, there's a lesser focus on this. When was Halkia released? Was that Nathria? Sure, maybe it is. Maybe every secret package and secret enabler goes out here. I didn't even consider it. But yeah, either way, they're not supporting it anymore. On the way in, Spectral Cutlass. The identity of Rogue will still be playing cards from other classes. Alright. Pirates are probably going to be a thing. Raiding Party is back in. That suggests there's going to be some sort of aggro pirate rogue deck, maybe. And the other one I've noticed here is Flick. There's a few ways right now of copying cards and adding copies to your deck, namely, you know, Priest and Druid. And Flick is like the answer to that. So, really good single target removal, good for getting rid of these pesky cards, right, or any copies of them. I can see Flick getting slotted into quite a lot of decks. Now in Shaman Town, immediately the most notable thing is the Strength Totem is rotating out. So this is on your button, and the Air Totem is back, baby. Spell damage, Shaman back. That's really interesting, because I thought they would remove the Totem, because it caused them to have a problem with their design space of Shaman. I thought that's how they worded it. That they were struggling to print spells in Shaman, just in case you you randomly pushed the button and got the Air Totem. And it would just make things awkward. Like, can you imagine like the Nature Shaman deck now where you would get an air totem on it? I mean, I guess you can because you're going to be able to do it. So yeah, I'm kind of surprised they rotated it out. I don't think it's a bad thing, but I was just surprised by it. Other notable loss is Bloodlust. This enabled a lot of the token decks, especially Token Shaman, which is obviously getting hit hard because Totem Izor is also rotating out, so I don't think Totem Shaman is going to be a thing anymore. And I'm honestly kind of happy that Bloodlust is rotating out. You may disagree with it, but I don't really like playing against... I mean, I don't mind playing against aggro decks. I just don't like playing against decks that just vomit out 7 totems or, you know, 7 minions with Death Rattle summon another minion that you just can't clear and they just Bloodlust and run you over. I just think it's a little bit dull. So I'm happy it's rotating out. Also to note, Kalamos, the Primal Lord, is coming back in. Another support for Elemental Shaman. Do I think it's going to make a difference to Elemental Shaman? No. Alright. Warlock Town. They're losing all the big demon support. Also, they're losing imp support. So I guess imps and big demons aren't going to be a huge thing anymore for Warlock. Doomguard is back though. Charge minions. Yay, charge minions. I'm sure this won't get abused and copied multiple times, so watch this space for OTK Doomguard decks. Also, Lesser Amethyst Spellstone is back in the game again, which rewarded you for taking damage to yourself, and it gave you lifesteal, right? This card coming back in kind of suggests to me that they are going to do another, and I say another, they're going to keep up with this Warlock strategy of effects that do damage to you, eventually reward you in the long term, right? I haven't circled these. There is also another potential nod to Handlock being a thing, because Dark Alley Pact is back, and Archville and Reform are back as well. Warrior Town. I think Warrior is going to be a pretty big winner from this, and they're already a pretty big winner, full stop. I think most of the cards that rotated out for Warrior aren't that important. Taskmaster saw play in Enraged Warrior. Sword Eater sometimes saw play as like a good value menagerie card. Armadillo only sees play in Taunt Warrior, and I don't even think it's a key card in Taunt Warrior, so even they probably can deal without it. But what they're getting in return, Deathwing Mad Aspect, really good control card. Like, it's typically a board clear, and sometimes it can be a board clear with a, you know, a 12-1 or a 12-2 minion on board. That's pretty good. Town Crier also historically has been a really good shooter card. Often very good key cards in Warrior, and yeah, I guess in Warrior, have had Rush on it, and Town Crier can just shooter for it, so watch this space, basically. And then Sanguine Depths has come back again, so Enraged Warrior will still be a thing to some degree, I think. Otherwise, they wouldn't have brought the location back. I know a lot of people are then going like, oh, Fiery War Axe, 2-mana 3/2 Axe. It's 2024 Fiery War Axe, like, get with the picture. Then, finally on the rotations, we get to neutral. So, honestly, on the cards rotating... Actually, no, sorry. The most important thing, first and foremost, Balthus Ogre is going back into the set. All other minions shuddering right now. But on minions going out, most of the minions that are rotating out don't see play in any deck right now. Tour Guide is an exception. And it's probably the only exception that I can really see. Sometimes you make, you know, your Warlock button cost 0. Sometimes you make your Death Knight button cost 0. Sometimes when you're playing Totem Shaman, you make your button cost 0. This was just a really good card to fit in, like, the 20... Like, you're putting your deck together in the, like, the 26, 27, 28, 29, 30th card slot. Tour Guide just would slot into that very efficiently. I didn't circle it again, but Gadget Stand is another one to watch out. Well, I say watch out for. You don't have to watch out for it anymore. It's a noticeable lever. It wasn't good anymore, but it just enables some toxic gameplay, so I'm quite happy that's rotated out. You might be saying, why have you circled Humongous Razorleaf? There's not going to be a minion in the game, as I understand it. Again, don't quote me on this one, I might be wrong. That doesn't have the can't attack text on it. Which kind of implies there is not going to be many silence cards added to the game, because that's normally why they're in the game, so that you can silence them and then do something with them. Warlock has one, I suppose, but that's about it. Again, I think it's a nod to that they're just not going to be supporting cards with silence on as much as before. So, watch this space. I think the game is going to get Pretty crazy, let's put it that way. Other cards, I think, are pretty irrelevant. Then notable cards added to the deck. So MCT is back, but its effect has been changed. So you get to pick the minion you take control of now. Well, whereas before you didn't get to pick. However, it's got a 2-mana charge added to it, so it's no longer 3-mana 3/3. I think that's what it was. It's now 5-mana 3/3. Do I think that will see play? Probably not. Justicar True Heart back. Upgrade your hero button back. I think this was a fan favourite card. I'm not surprised it's come back for the 10-year anniversary. Do I think it's still good enough? Yeah, I think it is. I think if you're playing these slower value control decks, you could definitely put True Heart in there. Like, I think on Control Warrior, you could definitely put that in there. I don't know if you double the battlecry on this, do you get like a superhero power? I'm not sure how that interacts, but whatever. Leroy Jenkins! He's back. More charge, more charge. More volatile swing turns in the game where you're just going to get one shot from nowhere. Leroy Jenkins is back, and back in an even scarier world because Paladin has access to Wind Fury. That is definitely going to go into the buff Paladin deck, right? Play Leroy, give it Wind Fury, deal 12 damage. Beautiful. I am going to enjoy seeing that. Firefly, I've also put a ring around. We've just had an elemental synergy patch. It hasn't really paid off, but Firefly is a really good elemental to make your elementals like chain together from turn to turn. Alexstrasza, also really good for reducing health down, I mean, down to 15, I suppose, or increasing yours to 15. Important because Blood Death Knight could get to, like, 60 health plus. Alexstrasza really, like, curtails that type of deck. Siamat, very, very flexible legendary. I think this is still good enough to see play in a lot of decks, honestly, so I wouldn't be surprised if this slots into your value decks. And then Sylvanas, the Death Rattle, is still insane, right? It's on a neutral. If you can spread this Death Rattle to other minions, it will definitely see play in some sort of Death Rattle deck. If this is Death Rattle Death Knight, Death Rattle Hunter, that type of deal, I can definitely see a world in the next year where that comes into play. Now, you may have noticed a keen-eyed amongst you. There are 4 purple circles here. What the fuck are these cards? They've not been in the game before. Well, they added more cards to the game. So these are apparently all nods to Warcraft Rumble, this mobile game. And they're all coming into the core set directly, right? And this first one, this legendary, I think is really, really good. Nomelia Safe Pilot, or SAFE Pilot. 6-mana 4/2 Rush. Also damages minions next to whomever this attacks. And Death Rattle deals 2 damage to all enemies. I mentioned a few times with Druid that there was not a lot of ways in the core set, or the neutrals at least, to do AoE damage. And it meant that some classes really suffered in certain matchups. Nomelia just sorts that out, right? 4 damage cleave. That's going to clear most, 3 minions on board. And if it dies in the process, it does an additional 2. That's really good removal. Really efficient removal. It kind of reminds me of Hollowhound, but it's got 1 more attack. You don't get the lifesteal on it, though, sadly, but you do potentially remove 6 health worth of minions instead of just 3. That's good. Obviously, it's missing a tribe as well, which means it doesn't synergize with other cards quite as well as Hollowhound. But when I look at this, I see this. Spam Your Arcanist, that's slotted into a lot of decks, especially like Druids that couldn't do board clears, you didn't have access to it. And you throw a Spam Your Arcanist in there if the meta ever got very tokeny or a lot of tempo-y. I love this. I really wanted Spam Your Arcanist to come back into the core set. I was hoping this was one of the cards that would rotate in. But I'll take Nomelia. Nomelia, you're honestly, compared to Spam Your Arcanist is like a fine dinner. You're like trying to, ooh, I'll adjust their health very slightly lower. I'll adjust their health maybe slightly higher so we get the continual damage. Nomelia Safe Pilot is just fucking a hammer with gravy on it. Bam! Meal delivered. Bam! Meal delivered. That type of thing. Also to note, this synergizes really well with certain cards that, because it's a neutral, classes that didn't have this cleave damage. Notably the Auras and Paladin. If you get Deputization Aura up, this then becomes a 6-mana 7/2 with lifesteal, so it's Hollowhound plus. If you hit 3 minions with that, you heal for 21. And then ideally it dies at the end of it. Obviously you don't get the lifesteal on the death rattle because it's only on attack that you get the lifesteal, I believe. Actually, maybe it's not. No, I don't think you get it. What, do you? No, it's not on attack. I don't know. Actually, I don't know. But anyway, you get a big chunk of health. So if you're running this slower, maybe even the Highlander Paladin deck, I definitely would have put an Amelia in Highlander Paladin decks. And also, always a bigger Yeomonger. We did have Cleave Hunter being meta. Hunter obviously has access to 2 Cleave cards. Anyway, would they add another one? Probably not, but it's just as a note. And to be fair, Gargan is rotating out, I believe, so Cleave Hunter is going to lose a card, so they might put Namelia in as, you know, a third option. We'll see. Other neutral, Night Elf Huntress, 5 mana 3/3 Battlecry, deal 3 damage to 3 different enemies. You pick the targets. This is 5 mana 3/3, deal 9 damage. That's really, really good again. I mean, I'm not sure it's good enough to see play, but it's you know, it's touching on it. I can definitely again see Druid playing it, for example, for some form of board clear. As a note as well, you can send one of these 3 damage to the face as well to just do, you know, a little bit of excess damage, right? If you're playing some sort of aggro deck and you're trying to be efficient on your trades, you put 1 in the face, 2 onto your opponent's minions, this might stay on the board, push another 3 damage next turn. That's pretty good. I actually can't find many cards like this. I've pulled like a smorgasbord of cards out there. Tomb Traitor is like 1 mana cheaper, and doesn't hit the face, but does do 3 to all. It has got it has a criteria that you have to meet, i.e. putting a plague into your opponent's deck, but that's pretty easy to meet by turn 4, so... Tomb Traitor does see play. And it's a mana cheaper, which might suggest that Night Elf Huntress doesn't see play. Shellshot didn't really see any play, but that's only 6 damage for 3 mana. This is 9 damage. You get to pick as well where it goes, and you get a 3/3 on top of it. Fire Sale, again, 4 mana, does 3 to all, similar to Tomb Traitor. The only thing I can find that does something to 3 different minions is Trench Stalker. Now, I'm not really comparing this to Trench Stalker, it's obviously a different niche. But Trench Stalker could, you know, clear 3 minions, maybe hit the face. But it could die in the process, right? Night Elf Huntress won't die in the process, so... I don't know what to think about this one. I think this is pretty solid. Pretty solid. Pretty solid. Warsong Grunt, 5 mana 3/6 Rush. After this attacks and kills a minion, it may attack again. This is the effect of Hulking Overfiend and Batterhead on a minion with slightly less chunk. So this is a 5 mana, unlike these 2 cards, which are 8 mana. Hulking Overfiend has a little bit of extra attack. Batterhead a bit of extra health. I think you obviously want it in that direction, right? You want more stats and a larger cost, because otherwise you're not guaranteed to kill a minion, right? There's not going to be a board full of 3-cost minions. Well, maybe there are going to be. And if there are, how much attack do they have, right? Because if they both have 3 attack, then this is going to just die on the 2nd attack. So I think this is a little bit weaker than the rest, but again, if the meta ever went very, very tempo-orientated, there is a world to see some players a double trade minion and maybe survives as a 3-1 at the end of it after clearing 2 minions. I suspect not, though. I think this is going to fall closer to like Relentless Warg, which is basically 0 play. And then Footman is the final one. 4 mana 2/5 Taunt. Adjacent minions are immune while attacking. Hey, what a synergy, Warsong Grunt. You play Footman, you play Warsong Grunt, and you clear that board of 3 mana 3/3s, right? Full clear, very nice. I think Footman is going to be a bit weak again. I was like looking through the cards and what's coming into the sets, and I couldn't find too many things that I think are going to benefit hugely from Footman's effect. One of the funny ones, and you would have to set this up in some way because it's a 12 mana combo. If you can put Footman on the board and Mishmash Mosher next to it, then Mishmash Mosher is a guaranteed board clear. But you can already do this with, like, Riot, right? I think Riot works that way, and that doesn't really see any play, so I don't think this would see play as a combo. Other ways is if you get, like, a very cheap Poisonous minion, like the One-Hit Wonder. Maybe you can make a Poisonous Rush minion immune, and you kill a single target and you keep the minion on board. We'll see. And then the final thing. This is a this is just a rework of terminology. So you may have noticed on some of the cards in the other video and this video, there's this new term called elusive. And basically any card that has the text of can't be targeted by spells or hero powers, which was on a few cards, has now been compressed into the keyword elusive and made evergreen. Which is just a good quality of life thing. It makes the cards look way cleaner. I like it. Anyway, that'll do it for the core set rotation and the event video. Watch out in the next coming days because we're going to getting reveals daily from the 15th, I think it is, for the next set, the Whizbangs Workshop. And I'm intrigued to see what the tempo of the year of the Pegasus is going to be. And that set is going to set the precedence. Anyway, goodbye.